A windfall. So what's on the other side of the door? Now what I mean is when you get an unexpected chunk of money, or even an expected chunk of money that finally drops into your lap, what are you going to do with it in terms of property? Sound interesting? Stick around. Now for most people, saving up enough for a deposit on a property, especially when it's usually 25% for a buy-to-let property, is a tough ask, especially in today's climate. But for other people, the trigger to getting involved in investment property is they get a sum of money, a windfall, from whatever source. So what's the best way to invest your money if this is you? Let's take a nominal figure to work with here. Let's say the windfall is 500,000, and I'm going to look at the standard advice that you're likely to get with that, and then a different way, let's say the road less travelled. Now I'm not going to get into all the things like diversification of investment and put this much in stock market and all that type of thing. That's IFA territory, independent financial advisor territory, and I'm not going to go down that route. So we're just going to look at if you had 500,000 and you'd made the decision it needs to go into property, and you'd taken whatever advice you needed to come to that decision. So with 500 to invest, here's what would be the standard mortgage broker advice. Divide that into pots, divide that into 25% deposits by the requisite number of properties, and you've got a ready-made portfolio. So if you split that down into 5, you could take 100,000 as a 25% deposit. You'd have 5 of those, which meant you could get a 300,000 mortgage, five times of those. So you could buy 5 400,000 properties, and now you've split that 5 ways. You've got 5 income streams from those 5 rented properties. Maybe you could split that even further and say you could have 10 50,000 deposits and get 200,000 properties, get 10 200,000 properties with the 75% mortgages. You could do that. You just buy properties ready to rent, pop a tenant in there, maybe some would already have a tenant, and you're good to go. Now, if you only ever wanted to own 5 properties or 10 properties, it's probably a pretty safe way to do it. But what if your ambition stretched beyond 5 or even maybe 10 properties? How would you do that? Well, you're going to struggle because you've just sunk all that cash into these properties. So once you've bought them, you're done really. You're back to now saving up a deposit for another property, and let's say it's another £50,000. Well, as I've said at the start, we all know how hard that is. Hey, have you subscribed yet? If not, click the button there. Oh, and that dingy belly thing there so you don't miss a new video every time I release one. Thank you. And follow me on Instagram too. There's the button down there. Thank you. So that's the classic route you would get told to go down and to distribute your lump sum windfall. But is there another way? Counterintuitively, there is. It won't be for everyone, but let's look at those that are prepared to be a little bit more adventurous. What else could you do with that £500,000? Now you could say this is the Ninja Investor approach because this is my Ninja Investor program training. Here's what I would be training you to do. Buy one property at a time, be very selective about that type of property, make it a property that had a problem, but one you know how to solve the problem, add exponential value, refinance it at a higher value, get a mortgage on that, and get your money back in your bank account. And then do it again, and again, and again. In fact, do it as many times as you want to. So the difference in this way is you're not limited to 5 properties or 8 properties or 10 properties. You can build a portfolio of whatever size you want. Let's drill down a bit more and see how that would work. So this approach would allow you to do 3 things. Firstly, buy your property for cash, which means no borrowing costs. Happy days. Now, because you can buy for cash, it means you can look at properties that other people can't if they're mortgage dependent. Now, being able to buy with cash means you can negotiate differently. you can negotiate to get a bigger discount than you would have otherwise done if you were buying a mortgageable property. You know, let's face it, cash buyers never like to pay full price, do they? Thirdly, because you're buying with cash, you can complete much faster. So complete the purchase within a matter of days, hopefully, as long as your solicitor can work at that speed. But certainly the cash is just sitting in your bank, so you have the ability to complete fast. So you've got zero borrowing costs, and now you can leverage that to grow your cash more quickly. What's the next step? Well, you add tangible improvements, usually a refurb, but it could be other things as well, to boost the value of the property. And now's the time you get a mortgage, but not at the purchase price you paid, but the uplifted value that your tangible improvements created. Now that means that most, preferably all, of that £500,000, which you use not only to buy it, but to refurb it or add those tangible improvements, that's all coming back out. So you've got a property on a buy-to-let mortgage, or whichever variation of investment mortgage suits your rental income stream, but the bulk, possibly all of that £500,000 is now back in your bank, which means you can do it again as many times as you want to until you've got the portfolio of the optimum size for you. Now, to make this work more efficiently, you're going to need to know the right properties to buy. And they're largely going to be unmortgageable properties with problems that at least some other people don't want to get involved in, but you're happy to take on because you know how to solve it. Now, this requires a bit of clarity to understand exactly what is stopping the property being mortgageable, knowing that you have the ability, either yourself or from people you can pull in to solve the problem, and also knowing you're going to add more value than the cost of solving the problem. Preferably twice the value to the cost, even better, 3 times the value to the cost of solving the problem. Now, without over-egging the situation, at least too much, this has the property to create £1 million or more than £1 million portfolio and give you a lifestyle that's pretty comfortable. So there we are, my property video for this week. Have a great week. I'll be back with another property finance video. See you then.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.